today?
It's gonna be fun. It's
I think
going
so.
to be fun. There we go. Woo! Technology. Yes, folks. Well, welcome, Pops Live. I have a great guest. We're gonna have so much fun. I'm in Florida, as many of you know, and it is pouring cats and dogs would be an understatement. My power flickered off literally like 3 minutes before we're supposed to go live. It's just been crazy. Maria T and Telly is with us. We're gonna have some fun talking to her, playing some fun questions, get to know her more, and that kind of thing. And her YouTube channel is doing amazing. So make sure you hop over and sub if you're not. Check out some other videos, and just spend some time getting to know her and the stuff that she's been working on. So without further ado, Maria, talk a little bit about your background, like where you were born and raised, and kind of who is Maria?
Wow. After all this time, I'm still discovering.
Hey,
you
listen, are
know,
we all right?
I'm
Yeah.
I'm a Colorado native, and it's
Okay.
kind of rare to find here around these parts because now we've had people from everywhere coming in, and the natives have kind of left the area. But my family's still here, except for I have a brother who lives in Germany, but he's been there since 2000, so I think he kind of likes it there. Other than that, I was raised a country girl in the country with the chickens and the cows and horses and
No,
all that, and so
sounds like my
I
wife.
yeah, it was, at the time, when you're young, you're like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to grow up so I can move out to the big city and be a big city girl." But now that I'm living in a bigger area, I'm like, "Man, do I miss that life?" Because it was so
Mhm.
quiet and it was so peaceful, and I miss those times of just walking in the backyard and picking fresh corn from the around there because our house was surrounded by all the corn and sitting in the nice fresh grass staring up at the stars at night, and no traffic, and your neighbors, though you knew them, they were far away from you, like, before you got, want to borrow some eggs, you better get on a bike and hike it because it's gonna but I miss that. The only thing I don't miss is getting up super early in the morning to help my dad feed the calves and irrigate. Oh my gosh. um, he had mostly daughters, but he's like, daughter or not, get in the truck. You're
We got
gonna
stuff to do on the farm. Yeah, my wife.
There's stuff to do on the farm, and I'm carrying like all the irrigation tubes like a pro and starting them up, and th- that was, I kind of missed that, but it was hectic sometimes.
You think
But
about moving back to the country?
I would love to. I
Hmm.
kind of like the quiet now, and I miss it. The city. I'm in the burbs of Denver, closer to the mountains, close to Coors Brewery.
Hmm.
um, and it's getting busier and busier.
Sure.
We're like sardines here, and they just keep building and building and building, and I'm
Hmm.
just like, oh my God.
That's what happened with us during the pandemic. It just got to be too much, and the straw kind of broke the camel's back. And my wife was like, "I'm ready to move." And we
Yeah.
owned three. We're like three families, three houses with her mom and my son's family,
Oh
and
wow.
had the family meeting. Everyone decided. So literally, like our three homes sold in a weekend, and we were like,
Oh
"Well, I guess we're
wow.
moving." And
That's
I
great.
tell people we moved to the woods. We didn't move to the country. We were like literally the farm is in the middle of nowhere by design. But she is very happy living that kind of lifestyle. But you're right. It's
That's
a
good.
every day getting up, doing the work. It teaches you a lot of work ethics and stuff like that. Bone's coming in.
It
Hey, Bone, how
does.
you doing?
Hey, Bone, how's it going? Good to
Yeah,
see
thanks
you.
for hopping in here and that kind of thing. Feel free to leave questions if you want. We'll have little pauses in between things. We'll try to get back to chat and keep up with it. So you talk about your upbringing, that kind of thing, but that's a big road through, growing up in high school and college and careers and all that kind of stuff. So, who was your biggest sort of like mentor or person that kind of helped inspire you when you were young?
I have to say, my sweet grandmother.
Mm,
She lived to be 107,
Oh my goodness, amazing.
Yeah,
What was her
and
nickname?
hmm?
What was her nickname?
I just call her grandma, abuelita,
Okay. Oh,
abuela.
little grandma.
but um, but she, oh my gosh, I miss her so much. But she started. I spent a lot of time with her, and that my mom's mom, and I spent a lot of time with her, and she always told me stories, and she would do that thing where she'd sit on the couch and I'd put my head on her lap and she'd run her fingers through my hair and comb it while she's talking to me, and we would sing together. And so we
Mm.
sang all the time. And then one day, and she was very, you know, church lady, and yeah, 107. That was something. And so one day went to church, and the pastor says, "Does anybody have a special song they'd like to do?" And my grandma stood up, and I was like, "Oh, my grandma's gonna sing." And she says, "Yes." And then she sent me up there, and I was standing there going, and my
Oh.
mom didn't even know that I sang at that point because I
Okay.
was only singing around my grandmother. And so I was like frozen, and I was like 5 years old, right? And so I was pretty young, and she just said, "Get up there and do it. You can do it." And it was so sweet. She gives me this little talk before I get up there. And I was like, "Okay, I got this." So I get up on stage and told them what I was going to sing. And she's sitting there in the audience, just all excited for me. I started singing. I look at my mom and dad. My mom and dad are like, the look on their face. They didn't know I have a soft speaking voice, but I have a loud singing voice. And I was belting out the song, and my grandma was just so proud. She's my baby girl, and my mom and dad were just like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know she sang." And then I really liked that feeling, um, that people had when I was singing. And it wasn't so much that I was liking the attention, it was the feeling they were getting from the singing. So it inspired me to continue singing, and I had been singing through my whole life. So I missed my opportunities because I turned them down for some reason. I don't know why.
Mm.
But that was just dumb. I've had the opportunity to work with some great people, and I did a recording, and it was number two for a month
Mm.
out of 100 people, so it did well. I
Awesome.
miss singing. I do miss singing.
Yeah, Bone was commenting on that. It's 107th. Wow, we'll come back to that in a moment.
Yeah.
Following Minion, hey there, nice lady. How you doing?
Hi.
So did Abuelita? I think I said that properly. Abuelita,
Abuela. Abuela.
Abuelita. Did
Abuela.
she have any look? How on earth did you live to be 107? Is this like some sort of like she ate bacon every day or some weird thing? It's always those people, right? It's the people that
Right.
never exercise, eat bacon every day, or you're like, how on earth is this person like so perfectly preserved to live forever? This is crazy, and I'm
It is
sure she is full of
crazy.
spice and enthusiasm and things like
Uh,
that in your life. So,
yeah. And people would ask her all the time, "What on earth? Um, who did you make a pact with to live so long?" And she's just like, I like my spicy foods. She ate what she wanted, and um, she wasn't a fitness buff like you said. It's always that. And she had two husbands.
mhm.
My mom's dad, and he died when my mom was a baby, and then she got remarried, and then this is funny. Um, my family, my step grandfather, the one she married later. I didn't find out till much later that she. It was quite the age difference between them. She used to change his diapers.
That's a big difference.
That's a big difference.
That's a
And
big
he
difference.
died way before her, like
So she
long.
outlived him, even though
She
she kind of
outlived.
helped raise. Wow,
Yeah,
that's a
my
crazy story.
grandfather, her first husband, my grandfather died mysteriously,
Mhm.
and then she married him, but there was that huge age difference, and so that was wild. And then she outlived him, and so naturally I have a huge family, not immediate family, but family. My grandmother had a few kids.
Well, Grandma robbing the cradle. She's all about it, man. Wow, we
Yeah,
understand
she
this
was.
107 might have some different meaning after all, but we're gonna have to come back around to that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh wow. All right. So yeah, you love singing. You love
yeah.
music. I love hearing that. You do share a little bit on your stream from time to time. You do kind of get a little musical from
Once
here
in
and
a
there, that kind
while.
of thing. So what holds you back from some of that?
Um,
I mean, obviously time, but let's just skip that because that's like too
you
easy.
know, yeah. Well, right now the reason I'm slowly getting back into it is I damaged my vocal cords, and so I
Okay.
haven't had the control I used to have and the pitch I had. So I've been slowly getting back into, if you can sometimes hear a little rasp in my voice, it's my vocal cords still kind of repairing. So I had to stop singing for a little while, but I really don't know what I was scared, I guess. Fear is what stopped me from doing a lot of
Mm.
things. And I had the opportunity to work with the keyboardist from Earth, Wind, and Fire. He said, "I've got to record you. You got to let me work with you." And I'm like, "Okay." And then when it got right down to it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not ready. I'm too scared." I think also I had the opportunity to work with another group of people who were going to help me out, big group. Um, and I said I was not ready either. I'm like, why did I do that?
We're our own worst critics. Look, they're encouraging you. They're telling you should be out there
Yes.
doing some karaoke streams and stuff. Wow in the world.
I've tried to join some, but like I said,
Yeah,
I've been a little bit
it's
now
hard.
worried because of my broken
Yeah,
vocals.
we don't hear it all, do we, folks? She has a beautiful voice. So, you have this. So there was this show I used to listen to. It used to be on. I don't know which job it was, but it'd be on the evenings, and it was one of those. They play like sweet and relaxing music, but it was designed to call in and let's be. It's like, welcome to this evening with Maria. Hope you all are doing things and you're very blessed out here. But I'm here for you folks. If you have something that's really on your heart right now, you call in right now and we're going to talk about it. It's like you have that voice for that show. It's like, there's like this, a lot of instrumental music and a lot of us
Mhm.
think you have that voice. So you may think of it as being a
Oh,
lot more raspy than it is, but I think that's what I hear when I hear your voice.
thank you. I've had to learn how to sing different style of music,
Mm,
and that would work better with what I have. Um, it was crushing at first when I tried to sing and I couldn't, because music has been such a healing thing for me, and because it's such a big part of what my grandma and I shared, that I was like, I can't lose this.
mm,
And the thing I used to love was singing and seeing people crying in the audience
mm,
and coming after me later, hugging me, saying, "Oh my God," because I sing from the heart, and it's what inspires me. And so when I couldn't sing for a while, it was crushing. So it's nice to get back into it, but I've had to kind of learn to try different styles of music that would work with me. And so there's a lot of things, like, people think if you're a singer, you can sing like anything. And for me, it's not necessarily true. There's no way I could pull off, one of those really fast, zippy songs and stuff, because it takes a lot of control. At the moment, I can't get there yet, but I'd like to. I think I'm gonna record some more.
I have to encourage your folks when you get chances to get back in the water, start dabbling a little bit. You did a little bit because you did your writing. You shared your writing with us, and the story about Mia, and it was almost like ASMR for me. Like she were just so soothing and peaceful. And I think I listened to it like 3 times. I think I just did it
Oh
3 times.
wow, thank
You're just
you.
listening to it, just kind of taking it in, soaking it in, or whatever. So you need a lot more of those. Like, and that'll work on your voice because you just be really focused on your tone and your tenor and being consistent. I know how singers work, so
Yeah.
I have none of those skills whatsoever. So I'm in total admiration of those that do,
Oh,
especially someone that's
thanks.
tried to start singing at 5. That's crazy. That's an amazing journey. The amount of
Um,
pressure you put on yourself is probably,
yeah.
yeah.
I I have to say it took me several places. I mean, like I sang in Disneyland, I sang in Universal Studios, I sang in clubs in New York, I sang, I can't countless weddings, but um Canada. I went, it did take me around places, which was very nice. And it's funny because I still get stage fright. Like I still get a little bit of stage fright when I go up there. After I start singing, I forget, but
Hmm.
it's the start of it. I don't like to hold the microphone until the music starts because you'll see me going, it's just shaking. But then when I start singing, I just close my eyes and forget it all, and it just comes out. Um, but it's definitely something I'd like to continue to do. And in the meantime, like you said, I started doing the books. Like I have a few other ASMR kind of videos on my channel that I started out with. Those are fun to do, and so I'm gonna probably do some more of those
That'd be
just
awesome.
because I like it. But
What was the, so I've always been such an admirer of people that can perform in a theme park environment because it's so strange. What's one of the craziest or weirdest stories you can think of that happened in one of those big theme parks?
oh goodness,
Because there's all
um,
sorts of stuff going on sometimes. You don't realize like you have sound things that are suddenly not working, and people are missing major marks and cues. And when you're a pass holder in some of these places and you see the same show multiple times, you start picking up on it. But if
right,
you don't catch it, right? So what's
right.
something that happened when you experienced it?
You know, th- it we were at this. Well, I was singing at this place. It was like a Goofy's place. It was like a group. I think it was called Goofy's place. It was like a little kind of restaurant type thing, but it was outdoors. And I'm thinking, how on earth am I going to pull this off because of all of the stuff going on? Not just the people walking by, but you can hear everything else going on, other music and stuff. And I'm like, this is going to be a little difficult to do. But what helped was when you started and you started singing and the kids are walking by and people walking by and they're just like, what's going on over here? And they all start gathering. It kind of helps seal in the sound a little bit more. So it's great. And but it was just so cute to see the kids when I would get close to them while I was singing and they're just like staring up at you like you're just a big movie star. I'm like, you have no clue who I am because I'm really nobody. I'm just here to sing for you, sweetie. But it was so sweet, and they get all excited and a little starry-eyed. And then I'd remember I'm singing in Disneyland, and I'm doing something exciting for them. So I put my heart feeling into it. So it didn't matter what was happening around me. There was another show going on a little ways down, and they had kind of like explosions and something in the act, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." I think I jumped a few times, but I went on with the show. It was fun. It was a good experience.
Yeah, that's interesting. Not everybody can say they've sang, even for singers. Not everybody gets to do theme park environments. So it's got to be a crazy thing. Definitely
It
increases
was.
the durability and flexibility factor a lot when you start enduring environments like that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was very
Yeah,
fun. I liked it.
that's awesome. So as far as you know, beyond YouTube for a minute, let's just set all that stuff beside. What about your career and stuff? I think you kind of have kind of a very interesting sort of like career path and stuff like that. I wanted to touch on that just briefly if we could too.
Yeah. I am a problem solver and I like puzzles and stuff. So I still remember being in junior high sitting there. We were doing the biology class and we were dissecting things. And most of the girls were like, ew, ew. And I'm just like, I'm fascinated by this. And I thought, God, is there something wrong with me? But I think it was the fascination of because I like to find out how things work. Like I'll take
Hmm.
something apart and put it back together to figure out how it works and everything. to see something that was walking around and breathing and stuff like that, to see what made it do that. And even in junior high, I'm sitting there going, I want to be a forensic pathologist, right? So I really wanted to go into forensic pathology, and my friends were like, "You're creepy," and I'm like, "What? Somebody's got to solve it. Somebody's got to do something."
It's funny because
So
you say that because when you fast forward to like my daughter's generation, and I want to say she was probably in like early high school, it was like a cool thing to say that you were going to go into like CSI, things like crime scene,
right,
that kind of work. And I always kept thinking to myself, because I work in healthcare, and I kept thinking to myself, you guys are awful squeamish for that. Anyway, the awesome one just called us lovely, by the way. But you're talking about
oh,
dissecting frogs and such, but we're still
hello.
lovely. So we
Yes,
got that going for
that's
us. And frogs smell bad. That's your formaldehyde. And all I could think of was chicken.
yeah,
Like,
that's
oh.
that nasty stuff. Um,
So you were more into that element of almost engineering, almost that meticulousness of how things operated. So continue.
yeah, I think a lot of that I didn't realize till later, but I actually did study criminal justice. I have a degree in criminal justice, so
Mm,
um, and um, and I went into PI work,
hmm.
and I went into CSI work, and I went into that sort of thing.
Okay.
But I think a lot of it, the reason why is I didn't discover until later I was dyslexic, right? Which is why I kind of didn't continue in the forensic pathology, because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of reading. So once again, something scared me. And I backed off a little bit from it because I was like, I'm going to fail because I'm dyslexic. But I found again another way kind of around that. So I went another route. And that I found out after I was dyslexic, and at first it was a shameful thing to to discuss, but realizing that there was some amazing people that are dyslexic and their way of thinking is different. And I think that's why when I look at something, I sit there and stare at it and look and break it down in my head, how
Hmm.
it works, what makes it work, and look outside of it as well until I come up with the conclusion. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I've always been inquisitive, and I drove my mom crazy. Why does it do that? Why does it do that? How come it does that? What makes it do that? She's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, how do I handle you?
Yeah, that's
So
awesome though, because that's the inquisitive mind that you want out of your children until you're having to answer questions that you don't know the answer to. So
right.
yes, Bone doesn't like frogs. Sorry, Bone. I want to tell you, man. They're
Aw,
disgusting.
poor
Okay.
little guys.
And then I'm not quite sure, Austin, what you're talking about. I'm scared of power. You're going to have to clarify what do you mean. What do you mean? Uh, so do you still kind of work in that sort of field now as like a day job thing, or have you moved into something else, or is it just something that is more?
um
Don't be
I
too
had
specific, just
well,
generalizations.
no,
So.
I had I kind of when I was doing some PI work, I kind of
Mhm.
stepped back a little bit because I was working on a case, and I was working for this lady, and she was wanting to gather some information to be able to have her son, and her husband, or soon to be ex husband, was kind of abusive.
Mm.
Way. So I did my thing. I was working with her, and I was fearful for her safety, and she even told me if he even knows or has any inclination that I'm doing any of this,
Mm.
I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. I said, I'm don't worry about it. I kept clear, kept my distance. I did what I needed to do. The thing that crushed me was that he ended up killing her,
Oh my goodness.
and so I don't know why I felt all that guilt. Like, I felt responsible.
Mhm.
But I kept going back and thinking, did I do anything to create this situation? But I know that I didn't. It was just his nature. He was just so um, determined. And so it really kind of crushed me. So I kind of stepped back from that. And then my assignments were becoming more and more dangerous. And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, I know I went into it to help people, but but this is getting dangerous. It's a lot more
Hmm.
dangerous than it seems. Even when did CSI work, and that was a fun period too. But after a while, our the bosses were like, CSI agents are going to have to start carrying a gun when they go to a crime scene because nowadays the guys are trying to come back, and I'm like, no, no,
Wow.
more danger, more danger. I couldn't feel at ease, and so I didn't want to live in fear every day, looking behind my shoulder and just who's following me, so that kind of made me kind of back away from that and go into a different type of thing. So I'm helping people in a different way. So and
What would you
um,
say to somebody who's going through that, where you feel like you're responsible for something that probably is, 2 degrees away from you, but you were involved in some way, shape, or form? It could be something. It may not be something as tragic as what you went through, but it can
yeah.
even be. It could even just be spousal abuse, or it could be
Mm-hmm.
something of a child or an elderly person. It's like, well, I could have
Mm-hmm.
done something. I should have done something. It's the woulda, coulda, shoulda in our heads as humans will just eat yourself alive. Well, can you put your finger on anything that you can, maybe someone said to you, or something you're able to do that helped you kind of climb and get over that?
Well, a lot of it had to do with going into, to meditation
Mhm.
and um, studying to where I've been studying as a Zen priest for a while now. A lot of it had to do with that. To have to learn that life is perfect, and people look at you when you say that and you're like, it's not perfect because of all this grief and everything we go through. But that's when you say that life is perfect the way it is, it has to come with the ups and downs. It's going to happen. There's no getting around it. It's what you do with those moments that make a difference.
Mm.
When something happens in your life that's not happy, not good, and it can be tragic or whatever the case is, what you do with it. So that's kind of one thing that helps me is that you're right. There's a lot of times in my life, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but those things that I went through helped every bit of the path in where I am today and
Mhm.
the direction I am going now. Because I've learned, as we all do, as we get older, lessons, and sometimes, unfortunately, the hard way. um, and then other things happen in your life that, in the end, you're like, you know what? Hmm, I'm still here, and the world didn't end,
No, the world keeps
and
spinning.
it keeps spinning. And I mean, some of it also changed because I like died once. I woke up in the emergency room with the physicians pumping the air into me, pumping my
Oh, you
chest.
woke up on a table.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
So
Do
I
you
was,
remember anything?
um, I remember before I started going.
We didn't transition into this well at all, by the way. I'm gonna have to
I
ask
know.
my. I'm gonna try to edit this, and I'm gonna be like, I have no idea what we started talking about. So we talked about it at some point. So she woke up
Right.
on the table.
I woke up at
I'm like,
right,
whoa, wait a
exactly.
minute,
I'll
wait a
be
minute.
like,
I
what?
died once. I'm like, whoa, whoa, hold on. Okay,
Yeah,
all
I
right.
did.
So,
I remember go before I went, was it thinking in my head, I need help. Something's not going right here. But I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. But my brain was like, hello.
Okay. Did you get,
And
if you don't mind me asking, did you get diagnosed with like a stroke or something, or did you get?
no,
Okay, okay,
I had gotten out of a surgery and
okay,
I didn't react well to the anesthesia.
okay. Gotcha. Okay.
And so I just remember there was a couple people in the room, but they were kind of off doing their thing. And then I just remember I stopped breathing, and your brain is still kind of like telling you what's going on, and you're like, okay, this is not going to end well. And then that's all I remember. And then the
Hmm.
next thing I remember was waking up to my chest. I was like, why does my chest hurt so much? And somebody's pumping, and then they're pumping air into me with that
Hmm.
thing. And and then I could hear them talking, saying, "Okay, we got a pulse," and I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" So obviously the machines were like, "Help! She needs some help."
Yeah, yeah.
So
So yeah, listen, I always get a chuckle. I'm sorry. George
yeah,
Lucas is here. Always like that. Always makes me laugh. Hey, George. And Bones like, yeah, that's scary, like a sleep paralysis. Yeah, it's a
yeah,
weird, and I've been doing a lot more radio interviews and a lot of phone interviews for most of my sort of career, and a lot of folks have, if not like a death experience or near death experience, where they have sort of these different things. And people understand that the brain and the heart and your body and all these different things. What is fascinating, what that will register though, because I'm sure you could close your eyes and have a very vivid image of this mask on your face with the giant plunger looking thing, and just
yeah,
like it doesn't go away. That's a pretty, yeah.
yeah,
I went through that, but I mean, I literally remember the time you just like count backwards, and I remember this moment and this moment.
right,
There's no gray to me. I remember I went to sleep at this moment, and I woke up at
right.
this moment.
At
Those
this
two,
moment,
up to those points, maybe there's some gray, maybe a little bit
right.
after that, but those 2 moments are very, very vivid.
I know, and because if somebody explain, if you try to explain to somebody what it's like being gone, you can't, because you cannot describe nothingness. You cannot describe it. There's absolutely nothing. There's you can't describe it as darkness. You can't describe it as quiet because it's so void that there's no explaining it. And I kind of remembered that when I had to have another surgery,
Mm,
and the doctor, the surgeon says to me, "You might want to sign your will before we do this
mm,
because there's a slim chance that
yeah.
you'll." He's saying there's a less chance that I'll make it and more of a chance that I won't. And I
Mm.
was like, "Oh my gosh, here we go again."
Well, you're high risk. That would be the
Yeah,
appropriate term to use. And by the way, awesome. We're going to put a pin in this because that's a whole story. We need to have you explain this story to us, because you can't just throw this out there and have us all just continue to keep our. So we can't get into that right now because
right.
that just derails into, So, but yeah, right. So that you're going to have another surgery, you have to be. They have to tell you that you're high risk, and now your fear factor, you've discussed several times already, your fear factor goes to a 12. It's like the needle just goes all the way over, right?
Yeah.
How on
Well,
earth was that journey? Because,
I,
oof.
ju- I I mean, I had an idea because they told me, what the problem was, and they were like, he's like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't. And you'll either wake up and you'll have to have this on you for the rest of your life, or you're not going to wake up at all, or
Mm,
everything will be fine. But you might
right,
want to say goodbye to everybody. Saying, well, I'm like,
right, right.
oh sheesh. So I was by myself, very alone. I didn't have family, friends, nobody around me. And I was like, okay. So I just got ready for the surgery. I'm like, you know what? There's nothing you can do about it. Was I scared for a little bit? Yeah, but after a while, you just kind of let go and just realize that you have no control over it, and you're just gonna whatever happens happens. And I remember just being pushed into the surgery room. They put the drugs in me. I was gone. And
Mm,
then I remember waking up, coming to, And the first thing I did was start feeling myself to see if I had equipment or anything. I'm like, oh, I think I made it. So that, combination of all of that, plus several things that happened in my life over time that were not good. Um, I've gone through a lot, and
Yeah,
I
that's
have to
crazy.
say, I
See,
fought
this is
through
another look at
a
this
lot.
bone throwing out the story like this. How can we're trying to focus over here. You people are throwing out these crazy stories that really
That's a
I
whole
can't have
nother
you.
Oprah show.
Yeah, it's another episode. Bones says one time I was driving, I fell asleep with my eyes open. I could see and think, but couldn't control the car, and I snapped out of it just before I went off the road.
Oh God.
Goodness, yes. And then this, so Austin went just says he was a child, right?
Yeah. Oh God.
So yeah, wow,
Yeah.
that's goodness, yeah. I was in a car accident that flipped, and I for
Oh wow.
years had like the whole motion sensitivity thing. And I remember I was visiting my dad. I went on one of those. Remember the old carnival rides that looked like a giant centrifuge with like the
Y-
gravitron, or I just spun you around,
Right.
and you stood against the wall and it kind of lifted you up. That was it. That was the
Yes.
experience. And I got off this thing in like a cold sweat and the whole thing. And he didn't even know. He had no idea. He had no frame of reference at the time or whatever. And it was like, yeah, I have issues. I have serious issues. It took years before I'd ride a roller coaster that would turn me upside down and stuff like that. So we all have
Yeah.
these crazy life experiences and stories. So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing, because that's some stuff. That's some
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Hmm.
Awesome one's asking if I made it out alive. Uh,
Well,
yeah, yeah. I think I did.
she checked right away, Awesome One. She
I
was checking
checked right
right
away.
away. She was
I was
checking right
checking.
away, doing inventory. What's going on? What I got to have? What do I still have, and what might I be missing? I got to make sure we inventory everything really quickly. I can
Yeah.
totally understand that experience, especially once you went through something that
Oh yeah.
it's
I
that
found
sort
out
of
later.
big.
My sister, my when I woke up, my mom and my sister were there. And later on, my sister was telling me, "Oh my gosh, Maria, you were embarrassing us after you came out." And I'm like, "Why? What did I do?" You were you were telling us, "Did you see this surgeon? How gorgeous he was, and his big blue eyes. He's so dreamy."
Hot
And my
doctor.
sister's like, "He's standing right there." I was like, "Oh my god, I
Oh,
didn't
there it
know."
is. I didn't tease you because I knew if it did, you'd be self-conscious about it. Marie has the cutest little snorts when she gets excited and laughs. It's so great. Well, she's a single snorter. My goal would be to, like, see if I can get her to go 3 or 4 in a row. That's my best. I love people
Oh,
who
that's
do. It's so
tragic.
awesome. It's no, it's not. It's amazing. I love it. I love it. This is the addiction that comedians must have, is these little subtleties that go into things where you feel like,
Oh my
you were saying it
gosh.
earlier when you talk about singing and connecting. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So
Oh yeah.
I love
I was always afraid to be singing and then laugh or something and then
start
snort in the
laughing.
middle of it. That would have just been
Oh, it'd be
song's
great,
over.
especially in church. Especially in church, that
Song
would have
yeah,
been the
song's
best.
over.
That would have been great. That would have been great. So, you touched on it. I know, folks, we're still in the heavy part of the thing here with the "What's Your Story" kind of stuff, and that's where these clips will be, and you'll find those segments there. I'll put links. Everything will be linked. Everything will be linked, sub and all that. So, Orville Nation popping in. Wow, it's like rock star stuff when some of these folks come in here. I don't know about you, Maria. I always kind of
Oh
get like,
yeah.
wow, yeah.
Uh,
Um,
Agent PJ.
Kind of basically, we're talking about almost like, religion and spirituality, this Venn diagram of something is bigger than us, and how it
Hmm.
helps us through that transition from turning the pages of our past and realizing that it's through the trials and our pain and suffering, sadly,
Hmm.
that makes us ready for the next thing. I know
Yeah.
someone listened to a show, it was a Sunday morning right before church, and the person asked, why. Basically, it was like, why would God even allow pain, suffering, whatever? And it was like the person didn't necessarily answer the way I would, but there's some truth to, if you don't go through any of that, you're not ready for anything. You don't experience anything. How
Yeah.
bland and boring would it be if we were
Hmm.
you're never totally protected, like, because you can't control, you can control this little minutia of things, and we fool ourselves on what we can control, I think.
Yeah.
uh, but you were talking about just things that were happening to you, the mistakes that you make, things like that. How do you mentioned being, looking at Zen priesthood. How do you look at your way of helping others through a spiritual religious journey, and sort of a reinforcement so that they're stronger people? What kind of things could you say to them?
The difficult thing is when you're talking to people is that the hard part is that I always warn them up front. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I have to tell you the truth.
Well, that's a girl from my own heart right there.
And because it's not going to help them. And I tell them it's like a band aid. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. But we were made to have so many emotions, to be happy, to be sad, to be hurt. And all our feelings are valid and they're important to have. And so when somebody comes to me and they're having a hard time because they cannot get over a pain of a death or something like that, unfortunately, I tell them my goal is to help you feel that. And they're like, what? But I don't want to. I know you don't. But the only way that you're going to get through it is to feel it, to stop hiding it, to stop burying it, to stop, trying to distract yourself from it. You need to feel it so that you can heal. That's the only way that you're going to heal. And what helps me too is that unfortunately, because of all the things I've gone through in my life, it helps me say, I know what you feel like, and see that I have happiness today, even though I went through all of that. Healing is possible.
Sure.
So um, I know that it's hard when they start out, to understand that they're going to have to face it. When I teach them meditation, you're going to face it. You're going to feel it because you're going to be sitting there with yourself and your
Oh
thoughts
yeah.
and your
You're your
feelings.
own worst enemy.
Yeah,
Saw someone, I couldn't agree. I said I have a hard time allowing myself to be rejected. I took in my youth and stuff. I took every rejection at like an exponentially worse degree than it actually was. I really couldn't handle it. It was really strange in hindsight to even think that I'm looking at the same person, because at the time I would allow these, in the grand scheme of things, everything was my whole world. It's like I could not compartmentalize properly. I couldn't, just like you were saying earlier, like the world just keeps going on. And I could not. I would just be this emotional roller coaster. And rejection was one of the biggest things. It was
mhm.
crazy in hindsight. And now I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I almost expect things like, I walk this fine line of almost, my wife teases me about driving. You're not even phased by all the traffic. I expect them to pull out in front of me. What are you talking about?
Right.
I expect them to do these crazy. That's why I'm going so slow. I'm just doing my thing. I'm doing what's legal, but whatever. But, yeah, it was hard for me. It was a long process, and I
Mhm.
wish I could even pinpoint down something I could give as advice, because yeah, you just, I think it's like you're saying, you're almost building up like an armor. You're almost building an
Mhm.
armor of the dinks and the dunks that happen in your life along the way. So
Yeah. And I used to be pretty bad at some point. Like I've teamed up quite a bit, and but I remember that a lot of that had I was really, really, really OCD, like bad. Like I was the kind that would alphabetize my food cupboard, like alphabetize all the foods, and after you alphabetize them, you put the everything in its size. And I used to like color coordinate my closet to
I
from
am
darkest
riddled.
colors
I
to
am
lightest.
riddled with ADD and OCD, and it makes me great at my job, and it drives everyone
Right.
else around me pretty crazy.
Oh yeah.
And my
I,
wife doesn't understand, because everyone thinks that all OCD is like what you're saying, and I'm not. I have like a version where, as long as it has its spot or its purpose or whatever, I'm
yeah.
fine. I'm not fine if it's not. Like if we agree this is where something goes,
Right.
when it's not there, that's what bothers me. Like it can look completely disorganized, but if we all agree this is where it was or where it should be,
Where it should be.
I'm fine. Like this box
Yeah.
is, if I'm at, this box is supposed to be right there. I see the
Right there,
box
and it's
somewhere else,
not.
it'll just drive me crazy. Why is the box over here? Like,
Yeah. I was, yeah, I had to. It took me a little bit to get out of that. I mean, I still am in a certain way. Like I'm kind of that way too in
Mhm.
certain things. Like I'm a neat freak and all that stuff. But like I'm the kind of person who I can't start my day unless my bed is made. It's got to be made first. I cannot start it. But I used to be so bad, like seriously bad. I would take clothes back out of the closet and rewash them again just because I'm thinking in my head they're not smelling fresh still. And I had a
I still
cat,
do
and
that.
the
I
cat
still
would
do
go
that.
to the litter box, and I'd stand outside the litter box ready to go.
Oh
And the
no, no,
cat's looking at me like,
cats are on
really?
their own.
Wow.
Cats are on their own. But the shirts, if I haven't worn a shirt in a long time, and I'm like, it'll just look too wrinkled, or it'll just seem
Right.
like it's been in here too long. It definitely needs to go back through the system. And
Right.
that's
Gotta
honestly, it
go
just
all
needs to go.
over
It just needs to go
again.
right back. And the making of the bed thing, like when I'm not in the city working, I'm actually on the farm with the family and the wife. I can't not make the bed now. Like it bothers me now when we get up because it was never a routine. When we had the kids, the kids kids called all the shots. That bed wasn't getting made. I'll be perfectly honest with you. But once you got the habit, this is how it was going. My wife, she's got like it's got the nice comforter now and the
Right.
pillows, and the kids are adults now, so none of this stuff gets messed up anymore. The dogs
Yeah.
might mess it up, but for the most part, and I'll go into the other room where her mom is and the bed's not made. And I hope they never listen to this clip because it stresses me out to no end that she won't make her bed. And I'm like, I can't tell the lady to make her bed. I mean, it's rude, but it's driving me really crazy.
I know. I know. It's just those
Oh,
little
Orville
things
Nation's
too.
laughing at us, which is fine.
Yeah.
We're here for you. We're here
I
for you.
make him laugh.
I've always had jobs that keep me away from leadership to avoid all conflict. You know what, man? That is a legit. Let's put a pin in that. We're gonna come right back to that. Let's put a pin in that right there. And Orville's, yeah, he's having a laugh. Yeah, yeah. My wife would definitely. She actually now, especially in the last few years, she's so organized and structured, and I am not. I'm still dealing with all the chaos that I had created, and I try to create a system that is organized. But
Hmm.
it's so because of the OCD part, it makes it so slow, and it drives her crazy. But I'm like, I can't handle it not so, for instance, I've been selling a lot of like my trading cards and my comic books
Uh,
because all this stuff went up in value during the pandemic. So I've been like, I got to make some space. I got to make some tough decisions. So I have a system, but it takes forever to go through the process of doing all of that. It drives her crazy. I know it does, but
yeah,
I'm
it
riddled with these
can.
things.
I finally broke some of that habit because, to be honest, I got exhausted. I got
Yeah,
exhausted
yeah.
because I could never sit and relax. If I was sitting there relaxing, I turn around and see a little dust come down on the table. I had a glass table, a green one, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then I started wondering why am I freaking out over this stuff? What is it? Purpose is it doing? It's just driving me crazy. So I started tapering back and doing, things deliberately to get myself out of the habit.
Would you say
So
that's like giving yourself permission? How do we characterize that? Because I couldn't agree more. I always say I gave myself permission to not be done. So
mhm,
my biggest things, like you're saying, is like I beat myself up that this piece didn't get done, or maybe this is quite,
mhm.
but you can only do so much in a day. And you
Yeah,
also can work yourself to, like you said, exhaustion, but almost like paralysis, right? You can work yourself into like, you're not even being efficient anymore.
yeah.
Is it, I always say that giving myself permission. What's the best way to describe that? Because yours is a little bit different, but it's similar.
Some of it is permission, some of it is permission. Like, I remember when with my first husband, he'd go to work and as soon as I knew that he was coming home or I'd hear him coming home, I'd get up from whatever, like if I was sitting on the couch or relaxing or whatever. I remember panicking and getting up and I'd have to go and act busy. I thought, what the heck? He's like, every time I come in, you're always doing something. I'm like, well, yeah. And he's like, oh my gosh. So I realized that it was out of habit. Um, I don't know why. I have an idea. I have an idea, but so some of it is permission. Some of it is just
Yeah,
accepting. Like I
yeah,
said, that things. Um, that things don't have to be perfect,
Mhm.
and you can still be happy with things that are imperfect, and it's okay that like we talked about, the world's still going to revolve
The
and
world
it's
does
still
keep
going to
spinning.
spin, and
The world does keep spinning.
everything's going to
Yeah.
keep going. The sky isn't falling if my label on the dishwashing liquid isn't facing a certain way. So
Yeah.
I did. It was a combination of a lot of things: exhaustion and just permission and acceptance and all of that. So I'm better, and I'm not that bad now.
Okay. Well, let's get through a couple. Let's see here. We have
Yeah.
can't take it with you. I gave some clothes away today. Well, good. I'm coming back to your other comment, by the way, Awesome. I didn't lose you, and I'm not sure
Hey, time prophet.
time probably who's David Essex. Why do I not know the name? Who's David Essex? What am I missing?
I don't know.
Oh,
Time.
okay. Yeah. I
Spirit.
got it. Okay, so
Okay.
it's a singer. Okay, got it. Okay. No, do I look that much like this guy? I don't think. He has way more hair than I do. I've shaved off most of my hair. So thank you for the compliment. But I want to go back to what you said, Awesome One, because this is a very interesting topic. I kept myself away from leadership to avoid conflict, and this is a tough one, right, Marie? It's like, who wants to deal with conflict? And I should qualify that. I assume you mean negative conflict, because not all conflict is bad. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can have positive conflict and conflict resolution. From my experience, it's a skill. Got to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, it's a skill. You have to work on it. And there's some great books. There's practice. There's it. I don't know. I don't know about you. What do you? What I don't enjoy it. I don't know about you, but who enjoys conflict? I don't think any of us enjoy it. It's the nature of
Yeah, you're
humans.
right. I mean, yeah, I'm like one of the easiest people ever to get along with, because I don't argue, I don't fight, I don't
Mm,
like any of that. And but I also do know that reality says that somebody's going to approach you with something at some point. And at first, I did that whole keep your mouth shut, don't say anything, just accept it and shake your head. But that doesn't get you anywhere. It just builds up over time. And what it taught me was that people love to take advantage of that situation,
mhm,
and they
mhm.
walk all over you. And after a while, I was like, you know what? I, this just you can no, I can still get my point across without the need for being nasty,
Right.
and gain respect, and um, it has worked. So I've found myself moving up in positions because I'm able to speak with people
Hmm.
and do it in a way to where it respects them. I'm respected, but I don't demand it. It's the respect I give them that makes a difference. As long as the people that um, you need to motivate and that you're working with understand that what you're doing is in their best interest to make them happy and comfortable, then they're happy to work with you and generally avoids a lot of conflict. But um, I think I was just gifted with my mom always told me, you should have been a lawyer because you know how to talk to people, talk them down and stuff. I've had
It's a
people be
skill. It's a
so
skill.
angry and they're like, I cannot be angry speaking with you. I am no longer angry. It's like,
Uh,
good.
and just to reflect on my faith and some confusion, especially in Christianity, because of Jesus' advice was turn the other cheek, and that gets confused and misunderstood sometimes. Is it doesn't mean be a doormat, right? It doesn't mean
Right.
let people walk over you. There's a
Exactly.
proper way to resolve problems and work through conflict. Like you said, anger is an emotion. It's one of
Mm-hmm.
many. It's okay. How
Mm-hmm.
you react with anger doesn't become wrath. Anger doesn't
Right.
become cruel, right? Those are the things that I think we're trying to talk to.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
we empathize with you, Awesome, when we empathize with you. That's for sure. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of times people, I think one time I was streaming and somebody said they saw my serious face. And they were
Ooh.
like, whoa, because I rarely show that. But it's there because it's
Hmm.
part of my emotion. Do I get it? Can I get angry? Absolutely.
Of course.
And we have every right to say that we're angry, that we say that we're upset. But it's what we do with it after that, and that's a big thing for me. Is you know what, I am really, really mad right now.
Hmm.
um, so I'm gonna walk away for a little bit, and we're
Hmm.
gonna come back, and we'll kind of smooth it out a little bit. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
Also, when pointed out there's a video about our brain about OCD people. They don't have the satisfaction of all done come to their brain like most individuals. That is part of it. I would agree with that. There's a certain essence of completion. A lot of things don't. And I got to be honest, we end up sabotaging ourselves with that
mm-hmm,
because we have a
mm-hmm,
loop. It's almost like a feedback loop
mm-hmm,
because you don't necessarily always get gratification. You almost create more chaos, so you have constantly something else to do, and you almost end
yeah,
up you're on like a treadmill, and those two pieces are feeding on themselves. So
yeah, they
I've had to
do.
learn to be better and compartmentalize differently. Different things. And
Mm-hmm.
David Essick, Time Prop's giving my lesson on David Essick. So I'm okay. I'll take it. Okay, I'll take it. That's new for me. That's a new. I put a pin in that too. I have not had that one before, so that's good. Um, and he follow up. Have you missed a snort? Oh, gave you one. Look, yep, she gave you one. She missed one.
I
Gave
was
you
reading
that was more
something.
like a half one. That was like a half.
I was reading something and I just saw that one. Snorts. Oh my gosh.
Wow, it could be words of wisdom. Well, yeah, words of wisdom or World of Warcraft, yes. And there's like the love of the snort, love of the snorts.
God.
Yeah, small voice calms the beast. Yeah, and actually,
Mhm.
that's the thing. My wife always puts me in some of the more difficult things. You ever have that return, and you've lost the receipt, and you know it's probably going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the one that goes because nothing. I'm in the point now where it doesn't phase me. It's like the worst thing that happens, they're not taking it back. And I
Hmm.
always say, listen, just put it on a gift card. She's already
Yeah.
spending the money. She's just putting the money back there. Don't even,
Exactly.
but we allow ourselves to take things and let them get escalated. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. She's been easy on me, folks. Usually people throw back questions and stuff back at me, which has been pretty, I've gotten off like scot free. I'm getting used to this stuff. So
I told you I'm like the
see, look at this.
easiest
You give me
person
another
to
one.
get it.
Um,
I'm the easiest person to talk with.
yeah. So, and it was funny because I had been on a show. I don't want to throw a person about. I've been on a show recently, and it was harder in the green room than it was when we were on air. They
Oh
were
my
like asking
gosh.
all these questions, and I think it was like framing, and I think they just didn't know certain things, and I answered the questions, and it was like, oh, okay, I guess we'll see how this goes. So, so we'll have a little fun now. And not too much fun. I'm definitely not doing 20 questions. Poor Maria, poor thing. She warned me that let's see. Um, let's see. Definitely
PJ's
different.
encouraging me to grill you.
They're counting your snorts. There's 5 and 6. Took me a second to figure out what that was. So, what career did Maria choose after coming back from the dead? I think this was all integral into our career conversation, which was interesting and definitely one to kind of go back around to. Uh, Maria, so they're cheering you to ask me questions. Trust me, it'll happen. But I'll go on her show. You guys can have free reign. You guys can ask me whatever you want. Love your green screen. Almost looks real. You guys are silly. It's like glow. You guys are so funny. Now everything back here is real, folks. Sorry. This is the
The real,
city space,
the
not
real
my home
thing.
farm office. That's what you get. You get like this hodgepodge of background, so it's not just white walls. So let's see. Let's start with an actual question. And this one, talk about the train possibly going to derail. Because the moment I ask you the question, you're going to know who probably is behind asking the question. So I'm supposed to ask you about where the global sausage was born. Look, she face palmed. You know they're not going to let it. Look, she snorted. Keep the count going, folks. This is so much fun, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh my god. That's I didn't
I made her
expect that to
self-conscious. That's
pop
why I
up.
didn't tell her about it. Now I have.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it was from your well, and I know that was Miss Arwen. That's hilarious. That has become a thing, and it was born on the Tea and Telly show.
Yep.
Yeah, it was born on the TELLY show. We were having a nice little stream. Sarwin, my producer Tracy, and I, and was asking her some questions, and asked her if she was only looking for dates in house, or, or if it was global. And it just kind of came up.
I
And
love
I
that we've
think it
been re-
was,
we've been reduced to deli products of some kind, and now it's like global versus local. It's like
yeah,
support your local businesses
support
has
your
completely different
local
meaning if we
business.
apply it to this conversation.
Yeah, so I think it was
Yes, we're
Stephen
at
that took a
nine
clip
passes.
of her saying that my sausage is global, y'all.
Yeah, it is globally, y'all. I want that clip. I gotta find that clip. Loki even made
It's
reference to it this
hilarious.
morning. I was like, oh, they were on the show. They don't they don't even care. I love it.
Yeah,
This is like this. If it didn't feel like a family, folks, you just kind of have to plug a little further in. I'm just telling you right now. I said it's like walking in on the Thanksgiving dinner and the chaos that happens after. It's exactly
right.
what it's like.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
it's
Global
hilarious.
Sausage was pretty clear who that was going to be
Yeah.
from. There was no doubt about that. So she answered the question. I'm just curious. Ripley from Alien or Sarah Connor from Terminator? You can set parameters.
um,
Yeah,
I'd have to go with Sarah Connor.
yeah, yeah. I think it depends. I don't know. I don't know. She definitely
Um,
is more militarily trained. So if it's a hand-to-hand combat, I totally understand. Um,
yeah.
but see, I just find
That is
Sarah
a
so
tough one
off-putting.
though. It is a
Yeah,
tough one.
yeah, yeah. I think it's about what are we trying to accomplish? Because Ripley
Mm-hmm.
seems like she's so much easier to work with. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
have to survive, I think I'd rather have Ripley because she would be easier to cooperate and communicate with. Where Sarah is just like unhinged,
Yeah,
unhinged.
I think the only reason I said Sarah is because of that the allowing of the the everything to flow. The like you said, she just kind of like, you know what, this is gonna get done, and I don't care how we do it.
Mm,
Where Ripley's like is more like me in the sense where I do, problem solving. How are we going to get through this? How we can do this?
mhm.
We need to work together. We need to figure this out. And that's how I am all the time. So to have a part to just be like, I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and we're just going to do it. It's just, I think might be kind of liberating for a bit, but only for a bit.
See, this always happens every time I ask this question. Do you mean you've never seen Terminator? You have to answer that question, by the way, because something's criminal if you have not watched
Oh, of
Terminator
course I've
One and
seen
Term. No, not
Terminator.
you.
Of course.
Awesome one. Awesome
That's-
one says I haven't seen Sarah show. So Ripley. I'm like, so you haven't seen Terminator Two? You must. What? Vote for Ripley, and don't forget that Alien is also female. Yeah, yeah. You got the queen. We understand. Are you asking who is better or who she prefers? So as I said, she could set parameters, or I did not. I don't frame it in a sense of I know all about how we want to look at things. So I try to allow the flow of things to kind
Mhm.
of work, right? So we could say who is better, or who she prefers. Sure. I think she basically spoke on who she prefers. I think is what she was trying to say. I made it.
I answered it in the sense of what role would I play?
Yeah. Okay. You
Yeah.
can see yourself as more of a Sarah Connor than you can a Ripley.
I'm more of a Ripley, but I'd
Okay.
like
Oh,
to
I see.
be a
Okay.
Sarah once
Oh.
in a while, just
Okay.
because of that. But yeah, I mean, because I am more of a Ripley.
Ripley and the alien is yin and yang. Okay. Time Prophet is I have seen all Terminators and Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. Uh, Sarah Connor's show I have not. Okay, yeah, I don't know about the show as much. It's okay. They didn't ruin it. It's back before they would ruin things, so I can still say that was fun. So
Right.
you have a lot of fun guests. Like
Yeah.
obviously you talked about knowing Mark Patton. You just had Anna Folkenstall on your show, those kinds of things.
Mhm.
How on earth do you find your guests? Or are you just friends with these folks? Or how do you navigate through putting that together?
Oh God, PJ asked me that too. How do you know these people? I a lot of the guests that I've had, I've actually known personally, like
Okay.
for a really long time. And after a while, I was like, you know what? I know them. I might as well just ask them to be on with me. Some of them I got to meet over time. I have to give PJ credit a lot for helping my network of people grow, putting me out there, and then you know obviously you start networking and getting to know other people and whatnot, and at first I would okay at first it was like, okay, I know them, they're gonna be on with me and that's gonna be great. Then it was I would approach somebody and I would
Mm-hmm.
see something in them like, you know what, I think they would be awesome to have.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's to the point where people are saying, can I be on your show? And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's nice to have that.
Sure.
It's very kind of like it's an honor. But
Yeah.
there are still people that I approach, and it's because what my show is a lot of is I love to see people's um, abilities, their talents, what makes them happy. That's why my show is always happy because I like to highlight people's happiness, you know,
See,
and
that's
share
a
it with
part of
them.
my Watch Your Stories channel and how this all started for me. That was kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How we transition from a safe circle, like I know these people, or I'm comfortable enough with what I'm going to get, then
Hmm.
it becomes, all right, now I've got a little bit of that. And you also have that as a resume builder, right? So if any of you are
Hmm.
younger YouTubers, right, you can say, I did this today. I sent an email. This is a sample,
Yeah.
right? Here's a, because I can do, I prefer a long form talk. I kind of like what we're having, but I said, I can do a short version. This is what that looks like. Here's the long form. Here's how I do clips. I gave samples. That's the reaching out blindly. But it's also like you. I literally have messages every single day. Can I come on? When can I come on? When are you doing a stream? And it's like, okay, I only have certain days of the week I can do this. It's like it is an interesting, I don't know, edges of the triangle. It's like, and they all three keep moving, right? Because you don't want to be bored. You want to keep
Right.
having the flexibility to do the ones you want to do, but you don't want to hurt
Hmm.
people's feelings. But you're just trying to balance that, right?
Yeah. It is hard. I did have one person who um, kept asking over and over and over again, I want to be on the show, I want to be on the show. And it was difficult because um, her platform, his or her platform, I should say, I don't want, was totally not anything that would have
Mm,
been
not a good,
positive.
not a good blend.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Mm,
And it was difficult, so I kept trying to work with this person and saying, I think if maybe we structure it this way, without trying to censor them at the same time, but have him or her understand what my purpose of my
mhm.
show is and what
Sure.
I try to bring to it. And it just could never happen. And so, unfortunately, this person went along their way, but I think it's fine because I don't. I know there's a lot of channels that do a great job, and they have the courage to be able to bring things to where you're gonna have two sides, and people are gonna butt heads, and they can handle that, and that's fine. But and some people would assume that I have no opinion on things like politics or whatever the case is. Oh, I've definitely got my thoughts about those, but I prefer to keep them off of my show
Hmm.
because I want people to be able to come to Tea and Telly and and feel good and happy and not walk away frustrated. I don't want them to walk away angry or now don't want to get along with somebody that was in there because they got into it. That's not what I want to create.
Sure, sure, sure.
One of my show is, you know, people are like, well, what exactly is it about? And I may have different things on there, and I do games and I do movies and I do this or that or the other. But when you look at it overall, everything is about presenting something, to introduce you to something new, or to highlight somebody's talent, or to make you laugh, or to make you
Mhm,
smile, or to make you
mhm.
feel good or something.
Sure, sure.
And I mean, people that have me on Twitter, everybody knows on my Twitter, I'm always either making somebody laugh because it's a stupid, silly tweet, or it's romantic because I'm a big sucker for romance. And I put out poems or songs that, you know, just because I'm very emotional that way. But it's always something to make you feel good. That's the feeling I like.
They claim that you're running with the riffraff now, which is funny to me. But yeah, you're talking to a person that basically did political and religion commentary for a side hustle for years of my life on radio shows. I've been shouted over, shouted down, censored, the whole nine. So I've had my dose of riffraff. She don't scare me one bit. Mac is amazing. So yeah, I listen to Mac regularly. So McKinney's amazing.
Yeah.
And I have no idea who Pops is either, awesome one. I am just who I am, man. And you know why I showed up one day? Because at some point, well, first off, I could show you my graph, and there's all these peaks and valleys. Well, I worked in healthcare, so I was doing this during the early part of the pandemic, and then everything just kind of turned into a mess. So there's all these peaks and valleys of me trying to do Pops regularly. But I did multiple channels for years, and I talked about it briefly on one of Stone Loki's shows. He had me on that.
Yeah.
It was very nice to be able to expound on some of it. And I even
Mm-hmm.
came across as I was still too much of a real person, and it was just a side hustle for me. This is not like my full-time job. I'd always had a healthcare job, except for like a very brief time. Uh, but it was in March after I got over COVID, because I have this big thing in, I think it was January or early February, whatever it was. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting my wheels going. I'm getting the hang of how to do it this way. And then I had COVID, and I got really
Oh
sick.
my gosh.
So it was like 3 weeks that my graph just went completely. It's like the total views on the channel were like 12, 14. Like I did nothing. It
Uh,
was just, there was nothing happening, right? And then I turned it back on. And when I did, I'd also taken some advice about treat Twitter like a marketing tool. Just treat, Facebooks and Reddits and Getters and all these places as just dumping ground for your content. Like if you can just get,
mm,
10 views, 50 views, it'll add up. It's one person here, one person there, one share here, one share there, and you're just throwing against the wall. You don't know.
mm-hmm.
Don't pretend that you've solved the Rubik's cube of the algorithm. It's not possible. So,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
see, I have no idea who he is either. Neither do I. I don't know that I know who I am. I'm learning every day. But I am. Let's see what. Oh, my thing moved. Oh man, can't stand this. I did not own a comic shop per se. I did sell comic books and cards and stuff in the at a flea market. I was into that back in that boom of the late '80s, early '90s. I did it for about 3 years. I'm a huge comic book nerd. I'm definitely. I'm not going to. Someone else makes a comment about that's Gary. Now Gary is the goat when it comes to that, because for like 10 years that was his full-time job. So he was like, that's all he did all day. So I am not trying to compare myself to Gary or some of these guys. They know, and they have recall that I have lost. Like they have recall that I can't tell you certain things. I have a lot of association. Like I can say, this is about this, or this is about
Right.
that, or whatever. And I have total shutdown on other stuff. We were talking about She-Hulk last night on a show, and I'm like, listen, I know John Byrne, and that's all I'll know of She-Hulk. I have no desire to read or learn all this other stuff. I will do some of it for research, so I don't feel like such
Right.
a fool as this show goes into development. But I'm not going to pretend that I know things I don't, or that I'm something different
Mm-hmm.
that I wasn't. So that's it. So that's what you get from me when it comes to that nerd stuff.
Me
Um,
too. I'm the
I
same
was, I
way.
was, yeah, yeah.
Do I
So
know what year a certain movie came out? No.
I,
Sometime
I,
in the
I
80s.
have certain timelines of pieces of things, like uh, I've talked pretty transparently about like the Batman movie in '89 was this big boom for me to get back into collecting. Like I've become a serious reader and collector at that point. So there's like little moments. I worked at a movie theater, so there's like all these things that were out. So it's like a time capsule. My wife
Right.
stole these like little time capsules. So, um, but they're still waiting for Maria T brand. Okay. I thought I meant my dyslexia, my issues in my brain almost made that Maria brand tea, which is kind of a funny topic of discussion as well.
That'd be fun.
Awesome. I couldn't buy it. I only drink coffee, but only in the front end, not the Stephen Walton way. Okay. There's laughing. Let's see here. Have you had quartering coffee yet? I have not. Have you had any of their coffee?
I don't
I
know.
haven't either. My wife is the
No idea.
coffee drinker. I don't drink
I
coffee. I
am.
drink. Here's my non-paid for sponsor, Dr. Pepper.
Right.
I prefer Dr. Pepper Zero or Diet Dr. Pepper. She is the coffee guru, and I would doubt very much she will even try their coffee. No offense to them, but she's got what works for her, and that's kind of how
Right.
it is. Mama don't play with changing her coffee. She's
Uh,
very serious about her coffee.
yeah, I am too.
Yeah, Ray's very positive. Yes, she is. I've been through her content. She knows I was going to check her out. She was well aware of the trouble, but she knew when I messaged her. She said, "Oh crap, he remembered that I said that I would be on a show." I hear great things about Krigler Coffee, by the way. Ray does what? One day she will be given sainthood. Oh, that's so
I don't know
sweet.
about that.
Oh, got to snort. Make sure you tally it up, folks. I only drink instant and get away from this guy. All right, and then
I might hold that title for like a day, Orville
sainthood.
Nation, but it'd be like, let's take that card away from her.
Oh, I have solved two sides Rubik's Cube without tweaking. Good job, Time Prophet. I can solve Rubik's Cube. Every now and again, my brain breaks and I can't solve Rubik's Cube. That was actually a bucket list item for me going into 2020. That was when I was going to turn 50 and I had a bucket list of 12
Right.
things. The
Things.
pandemic broke my list. You ever do a bucket list? Actually
No,
write down things?
I joke about it, but
It was very cathartic to write it down.
yeah,
And I had to write it down in the front. Like I have like paper. I'm still old, so I have paper notes too. I do put them on the computer to make it possible to do something like this because they're sitting right here in front of my face. But I had to put it in like page 3 of the notebook, so I had to go past them all the time. You know what I mean? I never like to use page 1 and 2 because those are your scribble pages that you'll throw away.
right.
So I never.
All
You
the
always
time.
got to go 3 pages or more in. But I had to go past them almost every day. That's where I started seeing things. And I got through some of my bucket list. I had to let myself let it go. And the pandemic is part to blame, but I need to go back
Yeah,
and do it again.
it does have a lot to do with a lot of that.
It is really weird when you get this many chats happen so quickly. I saw Rubik's Cube through cheating. Yes, I've done that too. When I was young, I could not figure it out when I was young.
I saw 3 sides once, but I think it was by accident. I was like, "Oh, how did I do that?"
Yes, Time Prophet. We are not going to derail this conversation to the She-Hulk nonsense because Lord knows I came unglued. I was on 540 last night and they're showing me this stuff. And I'm like, you guys, this is insane. It's just insane. They're still talking about that. Rubik's Cube from the 70s. You have an original, Time Prophet.
Oh, nice.
Orville Nation. Yes, B. Jones Pops. B. Jones Pops. You should probably find me pretty easily there. Is Pops a nickname? Yes, Pops is a nickname. Pops is the nickname my grandkids gave me. So I have 4 grandkids, and I am Pops. And I joked, I forget when it happened. See, he's 7, going to be 8 this year. So it would have been pretty early on. And they were like, well, your name will be Pops, and so-and-so will be Papa, whatever. And I don't know what was happening, but I had to go to a movie screening. And it was Pops has to go to see the movies. And it's like, why? And he writes movie reviews. And it's like, so then it become Pops in pop culture. So that's how it started, as being Pops on pop culture. So that was what I called myself. And then what happened is someone told me there was another show called that.
Oh, man.
Well, that's a problem. And my show was older than theirs. That's what was frustrating, but not on YouTube. So therefore, nothing counts if it's not in the right media. Yeah, anyway. So
I wonder what
yes,
my
you're at 10.
nickname is. Do I have a nickname?
You have a
I don't
nickname?
think I have a nickname.
You don't have any nicknames? Come on, Mama's got a nickname. Grandma had nicknames for you. No?
No. I've
Little
always been
Mariacita?
Maria.
Little Mariacita
Maria.
didn't have other nicknames? Huh.
Maria. No,
Okay.
it was just Maria.
Pretty much everything I did wanted. Okay, I have pretty much done everything I wanted to do, so I do not need a bucket list. But I do want to learn the main, the Malmsteen solo on guitar before it's too late. Okay, that's hey man, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Travel the world, have love, but would still love to travel the world and love some more. Yes,
It's
yes.
always.
Oh,
It's
Chris
always.
Berger, hey buddy, thank you. He's got me covered. Chris is helping me out. Thank you so much. And I didn't bother you to come up in here, Chris, because normally we handle things just fine. I'm more of a laid back, chill thing, but I do appreciate it so much. Chris is awesome. I appreciate his help.
I know Chris is
This is
awesome.
not right. I'm gonna have to, she's not smart a lot. That's but we might get 11. No, we're still at 10. Okay, I don't get this reference. I thought Maria's nickname was CSI. I guess that goes back to the career references we had earlier. So, okay, so
Oh.
let's. That was fun. Thank you guys for playing with as well. So let's go to another repeat type question that had before. Adam's Family or Munsters?
Um, I like the Adams Family. Um, and this is I'm going with what I like, and I like the Monsters, so that is kind of hard. But I like the Adams Family. Uh, it's because of the relationship of Morticia and Adams. I absolutely loved it. I loved their relationship. I was
Did you find
kind
the
of,
Munsters more? I hate the word comedic because they're both such great comedies. It seemed more loosey goosey. There were these very quiet, serious elements of Adam's Family, and I think that's what I
mhm.
because I still own them all and I watched them, and I was like, that's really deep. There's like these little things.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that seeped in, and I didn't pay tribute to it enough.
Yeah, the Monsters was kind of like slapstick, more more slapstick comedy. Whereas the Adams, like you said, there was some um, comedic things in there, but they kind of it was almost like they slid it in there
Mhm.
at times. But yeah, there were times where you could see the look on Morticia's face getting pretty serious about it. But
Mhm.
I always appreciated the closeness of the kids, the family, everything. I mean, the same thing happened in the Munsters. They were
Sure.
also a close family as well. Um, but I think it was just the romance between. I told you
It
I'm
was so
such a
much fun, wasn't it? I love it so much.
yes.
Agent Atwood came in. Hey there. Vote for the Munsters. Another vote for the Munsters.
That was a tough one. That is a tough one because they're both
Um,
good.
Also, one just said it was goofy. It was goofy.
Mm-hmm.
Time Profits with Us, Adam's Family. And I used to watch the Adams Family on black and white TV. Then we got color TV. I thought, finally, I can watch it in color. I was so disappointed. That is a fantastic story. That is so funny. And the Adams Family. Here's how you know something is so timeless: is but one of these. There's these apps like Pluto and Tubi. They have all this free content. And I was setting stuff up for my dad. So it was one of the apps I was trying to make sure was working properly. And I'm setting this up, and I go in there and I click something, and it was the Adams Family channel. They were just playing it 24/7, just
Yeah.
episodes, and we ended up just leaving it on there, and it was just we're watching it. And I'm like, you're timeless when that's what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. Is I think with that channel, they have 24 the channel now. Pluto TV,
Yep. Pluto
and they
TV.
have
Yeah.
yeah. Pluto TV has 24-hour Three's Company and the Monsters and the Addams Family, and so I'm constantly switching them back and
There
forth
you go.
depending.
I wanted Gramps to turn the world to vampires. Yes. Yes. Monsters. Monsters. Yeah. I remember the George Lopez when they made fun of the Munsters. It was amazing. Yeah, yeah. There's some great. Listen, Fred Gwynn was great. Fred Gwynn was great.
Yeah,
I'm not
they were
trying to take
great. I loved
anything
them.
away from any of that. Okay, let's go back. Time Prophet, you said, I think of Maria when I watch Blake 7 because the computer is called Zen. I haven't watched Blake 7 in so long, but I can get the reference.
Yeah, Zan. Huh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. I
She's
forgot
a
about
Zen
that.
priestess. You have these great references that you drop sometimes. So I will let you pick and choose how you want to expound. And you in chat know her, so you'll know more of these than I do. She is notorious for dropping references to someone she knows that's in Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street or dated somebody and all this. And she just drops them in like nothing ever happened. And we're all supposed to just ignore them. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to some stream or some show. And I'm like, did anyone else not notice what just happened here? We're not going to do full stop. Hold on. You can't just say that and let us ignore it. So, okay. You see, she snorted. I got one. So you have to at least expound on something. Give me something. You've made. I mean, I can probably. I don't want to out you that much. I probably have notes on at least 3 to 4 references that are very specific. So throw something. You guys are laughing because you know it's true. It happens all the time. She just does it and it's great because you know it's just who she is. You just know it's just you being genuine. These are people you know, life experiences. These are your things. They're talking about Halloween or talking about a slasher film or whatever. You love that stuff. I know you love them. And you just go, oh, yeah, I did this, or this is so-and-so. And you're like, whoa, hold on. Whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's because I just, yeah, I don't know. It's because they're like friends. It's just like talking about like, oh, I remember this one time Pops and I were on talking about this. I mean, it's kind of like that for me.
Yeah,
So it's just kind of,
so Mark Patton's like that, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, I've had the opportunity to get to know quite a bit of people and over time, and I think it's an honor. But I don't know. I guess I just don't think about it because they put their pants on one leg at a time like the rest of us.
That is so true, isn't it? That is so
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
This is back around, I think, to our black and white shows. Used to be the remote and the antenna for the TV. We all were. Get up and change the channel.
I was the remote.
Hold the antenna, move the antenna.
Turn it.
Yeah. Yes, my grandfather would have this little black and white outside near the garage where he was working, and he'd be out there listening because it'd be, it's Florida, so it'd be a storm or something, and the western's going to change, and it's like, it's almost, you got to hold it just right here, but I have to finish it. Oh, yeah, definitely.
I was wondering if you were talking in reference to me hanging out with Kiss. Is that what you...
Oh, no, I didn't get to that one yet, but you're just skipping ahead. But we can jump right to that one next. So let's answer this here. Does anyone remember Valves? It used to have a TV you used to turn on 10 minutes before you could watch anything.
To warm it up.
Wow, that is an old school reference where you had the tubes that had to warm up.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to heat up. Yeah, that was my grandmother's was the one I remember the most. And it was... she would yell like because you'd be impatient. She'd be like, it hasn't warmed up yet.
Yeah, I heard about those.
It was this cabinet in her house. It was this big cabinet one, and it was in her house, and that's where that one was. That's only my only experience with it. It wasn't like I watched stuff regularly on that one or anything. They bought a newer TV by then. So, all right, let's go back. Let's talk about Kiss. So, yes. How many times have you seen Kiss?
I've never been to a concert in my life.
Okay. All right. Then how is your relationship with Kiss?
I was there to make them comfortable.
Okay.
And so I took care of them on a special floor. And I don't mean take care of them that way, people. The one thing I really liked about them was that they were perfect gentlemen. Oh my God, Paul Stanley. Shyest thing ever. I am trying to get him to speak up and talk to me. I'm like, I can't hear you.
So this is pre-show, or is this for some sort of other event?
Well, they were doing shows or whatever it was that they were doing.
Are they maked up? Are they full makeup, or are they out of makeup?
Oh, out of makeup, just casual.
So they're out of makeup. There, it's more casual. Well, because you have to sometimes explain when people have the interaction with Kiss.
Yeah, that's
Are we talking
true.
about Kiss in the bat costume, or are we talking about Kiss when they're
Uh,
freewheeling it where
yeah,
you don't
no,
half the world won't recognize them.
in their
Yes.
home environment, I should say.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha. Casual environment.
just while they were away from home, and I'd be home away from home kind of thing,
Hmm.
and they would all share the same floor. And um, Gene Simmons is hilarious. He would constantly play tricks on me and joke with me, call me up. He'd go to a different room, call me up, and he'd change his voice, and he would joke around with me, and I'm just like I don't know, it's you, dweeb. And he was hilarious. I mean, so funny. And they weren't demanding. They didn't ask for weird, stupid things. They just wanted to relax and have fun. And that's what I made sure that would happen. And they wanted privacy, and I'd make sure that they're you know that they had privacy if they wanted to go out to eat, clear their path. So it was a nice time. It was a nice time to get to know them, hang around them.
Is that really
And
hard to maintain for something as big as Kiss? Like it's not like Gene in particular can blend in real well. Like Gene's not gonna blend in. He doesn't. I don't think he really likes to blend in some ways. Yeah.
you'd be surprised. Like,
I mean, everybody wants to have a meal in peace. Like everybody wants to be able to sit down and have a dinner, or if they're with a loved one or whatever, or they're
yeah,
having a meeting. Like if I'm having a meeting with just you and we're at a restaurant having a meeting that we've set up together,
yeah,
we're there for a purpose. We don't want to be harassed or bothered or whatever
exactly.
for whatever reason. And
Hmm.
theirs is on next level. So
Yeah. Well, Paul was wanting to spend some time with his lovely lady, and he just they all kind of just needed that unwinding time, just to
sure.
just to relax. And that was good. Got to know them on that level, because I grew up with my cousins listening to them, and I would sit there and stare at them going, what the heck is that on the screen? Oh my god, I'm terrified. Until I learned to like some of their stuff. And so for me, it wasn't like I'm some crazed fan, like, oh my god. I think they enjoyed it. I treated them like everybody else, joked with them,
Hmm.
and just, you know, I think this is the side where I see most of whenever I do come across a celebrity, or is that moment where they're just kind of like letting go
Mm,
and not having to perform.
right.
Um, that's most of the side I see, because I've never been to a concert. I've never gone to really those things like that. So where I'm seeing them on stage like that. And so when I get to see them or know them, it's just casually, speaking face to face. And yeah,
And as you know, when you're handling them, it is a different thing because it's over a longer period of time. So you start to just get to know them, and you start to get
yeah.
to know them as people and their quirks and their wants and
Mm-hmm.
desires, things like that. And
I
I know
will say,
even doing media, you quickly can pick up on some of those nuances very very rapidly.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, public persona is usually significantly different in some
Oh,
way.
a lot. And that's one of the things that I go into whenever I do meet somebody, is that they're totally different people while they're on stage and whatnot, and you don't know them. You don't
Right.
know who they are. You know from what you see and what you think, but you don't really know them. And so that's why you treat them like you would anybody else, because you don't really know them. Um, I will have to say is the one thing I'm grateful for is Gene was very protective of me, and I was having trouble with someone on the staff that wouldn't take no for an answer.
Mm.
Um, and Gene was so awesome. And he says, I'm going to take care of this. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to. He took care of it and did it in a Gene way. I want to say Gene way, but then people would think it was like some crazed man or something. He made his point, he got it across,
Yep.
and that was it. And he said,
Mm.
if you have problems with anybody else, you come to me. And I was like, that just warmed my heart. I just felt really, and I say this because people assumed. assume that they're these wild, crazy guys, and they would have all these parties and all these women and drugs, and they have a reputation, but they're nothing like that. And gosh, I hope they don't hear me saying that, because they're like, you're ruining our reputation, telling us we don't have a bad reputation.
Well, and there were probably times they've been transparent over the years where there are times where they were like that, but not
Yeah,
all the time, and maybe not, and you grow out of some of that. At some point, you're like, okay, all right, been here, done that, and
yeah,
this blows up in your face, and that blows up in your face, and
mm-hmm,
stuff like that. So,
yeah,
so we end up with, saw them at Donington Rock Festival in 1988, No Makeup. I remember the No Makeup tour. I didn't see them then, but I remember the tour, the No Makeup tour. Some people didn't care for the No Makeup tour. And that was interesting. Yes, that is interesting. It's definitely different. People definitely had I remember the first, well, that was the first time. I remember a time there was a magazine cover or something they did without makeup, and the reaction was very divided on some of that stuff. It was very interesting. We went through a phase of not wearing makeup, and I saw them with full makeup later. Okay, very, very cool. Very cool. Different people seeing different shows, seeing different things. Yeah. Maria could see through, I think is what meant to say there, the makeup. I think that was, she was part of KISS. Yeah. She was accepted into the group. You have to assume most rock stars are not the same in real life. Don't put them on a pedestal. You'll be disappointed. That is so true. That is so true. That is so true. And I've got a photo of me somewhere in full KISS makeup. Fancy dress party. Okay. All right. Take it. And kids and my brother dressed up like Axl and Slash and did a music video. Oh, we should see that awesome one. Yes. And I think KISS took the makeup off when Bon Jovi did their thing. Maybe. It was probably around that time. Yeah, definitely late 80s. Yeah. So, well, that's been a fun adventure. That's a fun ride. Tons of stories. And kept you for an hour and a half already. So I probably should let you get back to doing your own work, tea and tally. And
I've got some things I've got to take care of before I do meditation and all that stuff.
Gotta do. Folks, we'll have links there for you to make sure you're subbed, checking out the content, consuming some hours as the YouTube and along. What is next for you? Do you have something coming up in the next week or so that we can plug or talk about? Different interviews?
Well, I've got Dave's Dimension on Friday. And the wonderful Loki invited me onto his show next week, so next Wednesday.
Awesome.
And then I have Cameron and Cardinal Sin will be joining me the last Friday of the month for some Cameron's favorite topic, the paranormal.
Paranormal at the end of the month, the Cardinal Sin, the Loki show. Busy lady. Busy lady. So.
Yeah. And,
folks, we love all of you in chat. Thank you so much for all of the comments and questions and interaction. It means the world to us. Appreciate all that. Thanks, Chris Persia, for helping me out with throwing a link and stuff in there. Tons of that stuff, folks. And Maria, thank you so much for blessing me with so much of your time and hanging out, getting to know you so much better and sharing, being transparent about stuff. And we got into some weeds, so that was. Hopefully it helps somebody. I think it will. It helps me, and I think if it helps us, we know it's probably helping somebody else. So, folks, be blessed. Make tomorrow better than today, and just keep us spinning through. The world keeps turning. Take care.